Mazraoui is Manchester United's man. The deal is done if Wan-Bissaka is sold. And Manchester United have an agreement with West Ham for Wan-Bissaka, pending Wan-Bissaka's decision. But is the Mazraoui deal done? There was a rumour of the fee being 21 million. It's now been reported to be around 15 million pounds. What is the latest on that? Now, one player Ineos want out the door is Antony. Bids him for Antony. Ineos working night and day to potentially get Antony out the door. It's not going to be an easy one to sell. The player doesn't want to go. He's on big wages. It's a big flop. There's not going to be a lot of cash in there. But can Manchester United offload Antony? What is the latest on that? Ligt has agreed a 5-year deal with Man United. The 5-year deal is done and sorted according to reports today. And we've got some more updates on Matthijs de Ligt. We could have a couple here we goes this week in ins and outs. Could Amrabat be staying? Could there be a big breakthrough in regards to Amrabat? What is the latest on Sancho? What is the latest on Ugarte? Some updates on Lindelof's future, some updates on McTominay's future also coming in as well. So hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your morning live show where we're going to dive into all the news. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, and actually please do subscribe, because right now, as things stand, I'm on 86,899 subscribers. So I'm literally one subscriber away from 86.9k and 101 subscribers away from, of course, 87k. On the big road to 100k, we can get that plaque, guys. That would be insane, but still a long way to go for that. The latest on Casemiro is expected to stay. We will cover some more detail on that at the end of the show. There is some news around Dani Olmo being available, yes, but I don't think United are going to do anything in regards to bringing in Dani Olmo, if I was going to be honest as well. But it's time to get rid of the deadwood. It's time to get the players in. Mazraoui is essentially our man. What is the latest on this? So Romano just said this morning, Manchester United have agreed personal terms with Mazraoui days ago. He wants to move. He has the same age as de Ligt. No issues on the agreement with Bayern, but it all still depends if Man United can find a solution for Wan-Bissaka. Now, the big thing about Mazraoui is it's basically done. We have personal terms agreed with Mazraoui, and we have an agreement with Bayern. So we've agreed Mazraoui with Bayern. We've agreed Mazraoui with Mazraoui. So that is like all it is. Wan-Bissaka out, boom, it's done. Mazraoui's here, it's done, it's agreed. It is literally like he is literally our man once Wan-Bissaka goes. With Wan-Bissaka having 1 year left of his contract, he kind of needs to go, because otherwise we're going to lose him for free. The big question is, Wan-Bissaka wants Inter. Inter need to sell Dumfries. West Ham have an agreement with Man United of around 15 million to buy Wan-Bissaka, according to Santi. So we need Wan-Bissaka to be convinced to go to West Ham. And I think the Wan-Bissaka, London life, staying in England, the language. I think Wan-Bissaka can be convinced into going to West Ham. I think it can be done. I think we'll get Mazraoui. I think we'll get a Mazraoui this week. I think Wan-Bissaka will be sold, if I'm going to be honest as well. But does Wan-Bissaka want to stay, and does he accept the offered salary? I mean, there is the question of he probably have to take a wage cut to leave United, but I think if he knows he's not potentially like a regular, he might go. I mean, look, I can understand if Wan-Bissaka wants to stay another year. Like, he will play. He was an important player for us last year. He won trophies with us as well. Like, I can understand Wan-Bissaka wanting to stay. And I'm not going to be mad if Wan-Bissaka stays. But obviously, a player that we spent £50 million on, I wouldn't want to lose him for free. So I'm very much of the mindset of if Wan-Bissaka stays, I'm not going to be mad about it. I like Wan-Bissaka. He's a really good backup option to have. It's just I don't think we want to lose him for free as well. How can we agree a fee with Munich for their right back, but we can't agree a fee with them for de Ligt? I mean, they want 42 million for de Ligt. We want to pay 38 million. We're very close to agreeing a fee for de Ligt as well. We could hear a here we go. Yeah, we could. The thing is, there is a strong possibility that we could hear a here we go anytime today, and we could get some real progression on this move. Like, I think literally once Wan-Bissaka's done, that is 2 deals. Once Wan-Bissaka is sold, that is 2 deals done. Wan-Bissaka out, and of course, Mazraoui in. Like, that is 2 done deals when Wan-Bissaka is out the door. I think things can move quickly. I think things can progress as well. I do apologise for getting some lag in, but let's continue upon the story. Manchester United are optimistic of concluding a deal to sign Mazraoui. United are also planning to sell Wan-Bissaka to West Ham to make room. There is a feeling, despite Wan-Bissaka picking Inter over Milan, Inter over West Ham, because United have slightly lowered the fee that West Ham have to pay for Wan-Bissaka, they can now offer him a higher wage, and Wan-Bissaka could be taken into West Ham. It was also said the total fee is expected to be 15 to 20 million. It was reported that we sold Wan-Bissaka for 15 million and bought Mazraoui for 21 million, which I thought was a bit of a loss, but it's now been reported about 15 to 20 million. One report actually is saying £18 million for Mazraoui to come in and £15 million for Wan-Bissaka to go out. which isn't too bad business at all as well, because if we don't sell Wan-Bissaka, we lose him for free next year as well. But I would have happily kept Wan-Bissaka for another year, but I can understand not wanting to lose him for free. We do have injury updates coming in. Rasmus Højlund is expected to only be out for a short period with a knock. Manchester United are more concerned about Leny Yoro. He could face a longer period on the sidelines, but they will not know until they complete the scans today. So we should get an update tonight or tomorrow about Leny Yoro. It's believed that Rasmus Højlund's injury is not serious. It's just a knock. It's believed that Leny Yoro could be spending some time on the sidelines. Fingers crossed for Leny Yoro. Fingers crossed that his injury is nothing bad as well. So let's continue into some more news. Let's continue into some more stories, people, as well, because there's quite a lot to get through in this morning. There's quite a lot to get through in today's show. There's quite a lot of Manchester United news coming out and about at the moment, actually. The Sancho terms apparently agreed. De Ligt terms agreed. Ugarte terms agreed. Mazraoui terms agreed. Braithwaite terms have actually been agreed, although I think Braithwaite deal is officially off. I mean, it's very busy in terms of Manchester United and business and things that are going on as well. But we do have a few stories to get into. So yeah, 3 new centre-backs took 10 years. I mean, to be honest, I don't think we'll get 3 new centre-backs in, but I do think that we will probably get De Ligt. I think we'll have 2 new centre-backs, so I think Maguire will stay. Trust Euro to come in and get injured within about 2 games. Classic Man United centre-back, probably the perfect signing for us. Oh man, if Euro's injury is like something that's going to be months, I might actually cry. The only good thing about Euro getting injured, which is actually nothing, but the only good thing is maybe it will press ahead United in sort of getting De Ligt done quick. Maybe they'll have to get De Ligt as an emergency sign and get that done quick. Now, what has been said on Wan-Bissaka's exit? So, Manchester United are close to an agreement with Bayern for Mazraoui, having agreed personal terms with the players. Romano is even saying we have an agreement with Bayern at around £15 to £20 million. United won't finalise anything unless Wan-Bissaka moves. West Ham are working on the deal. Both players are valued at just over £15 million. So I think it is very much a Wan-Bissaka goes one way, Mazraoui goes the other way, bish bash bosh, done deal sort of thing as well. Nothing will happen. I don't know. I think we'll have a big week of transfers, to be honest. So let's talk about Antony. Let's talk about the potential exit of Antony and what could be happening in regards to Antony and his future at Manchester United. So it was said here that the Besiktas have made a move for Antony. United want to sell the player, but Antony wants to stay. Antony, mate, I know you're not watching. I know you don't probably speak good English, but Antony, please leave. It would be appreciated if you left and we can bring in another winger, because I don't rate you. I don't think you're good enough. I don't think Mazraoui is going to make you brilliant again. I just know that you're eating 200 grand a week. You cost 85 million. You took out Amad Diallo's game time, and all you do is cut inside and try and shoot, and it's a bit boring. So please, Man United are actually getting offers for Antony, which I thought was a miracle. We are actually getting offers to sell Antony, which in my opinion, absolute miracle. So Antony, we're getting offers to sell you. About time. Finally, please go. Can you leave? Because if we actually get an offer for Antony, which I didn't think was going to happen, which we just need a player to go. But he's not going to go because the idiots that ran the club before Ineos came in decided that this guy that was on 20k a week at Ajax, do you want 200 grand a week? We'll make your salary times 10. You do not take an Ajax player from 20k a week to 200 grand a week. 20k a week to 90 grand a week. That's a Man United salary. 20k a week to 200 grand a week. No wonder Antony was basically forcing the move to United and refusing to turn to Ajax training, because nobody else in the world would offer a player that was on 20k a week at a salary taking him to 200 grand a week unless he'd broken multiple records. But look, Manchester United, us decision-making silliness. Like, honestly, Antony, leave. I beg you, Antony, to go. Could see a loan to Turkey. I think the problem is, because of his wages, we'll probably have to send him out on loan, pay off his wages, and hope that his loan goes well so we can increase his value, so that when someone's willing to buy it, they're actually giving him a big enough wage. But to be honest, I see Antony leaving on a free in 2 years. I generally see Antony leaving Manchester United on a free in 2 years' time, and I think it will be the worst signing in history. If we can get money for Sancho, Antony will be the worst signing in history, because Sancho refused to play and has not been good, but Antony costs more than Sancho. He's not even been good. I mean, I generally think Antony could be our worst ever signing, and I don't like to be negative like that, but Antony, if you're listening, please leave. Like, why do you want to stay? Like, I'm sorry, but why do you want to stay? Because I'm not being rude, but you've been here 2 seasons. You haven't been good enough. Let's have a look. Amrad's ahead of you. Garnacho's ahead of you. Rashford's ahead of you. Your 4th choice winger. You could actually play week in, week out if you went somewhere else. I think it'd be clever for Antony to stay. Just chuck him in at left back, man. 5 million for begging Antony to leave. Honestly, it's going to be... If Ineos get Antony out, wow. Like, I don't think he'll go. Antony, Maguire, Casemiro, I don't think are going to go. But if Ineos get those guys out, but on their wages, fair play. Thoughts on Wan-Bissaka to West Ham. It's a shame to lose out on Wan-Bissaka. I think he's such a unique profile of player, and I would quite like him. But I think we don't want to lose him on a free. So if we can get him sold for the same price, we bring in Mazraoui. Bish Bash Bosca's business. Mazraoui can also provide left back cover. It has also been said that Antony is up for sale. So let's actually deep dive into these Antony news. Let's deep dive more detail into these Antony reports. It has been confirmed that the Besiktas have made a move for Antony. Man United wants to sell the player. Antony wants to stay. It's been confirmed that Man United put Antony up for sale, and it was said by Rob Dawson that Man United will listen to offers for Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Eriksen, Maguire, Scott McTominay, Antony and Sancho. If the valuations are met, they'd also be open to selling Casemiro, but it is more likely that Casemiro will stay at United. Pelistri is also up for sale. Mejbri is also up for sale. It's Ineos' big clear out. What Ineos are focusing on is the outs, the big clear out, getting the players out that need to be out as well. Sancho is still the worst signing, but Antony pushing it. Yeah, I think the hype around Sanchez as well. I mean, why was Sanchez so bad? Like, when we signed Sanchez, I was so gassed. I cannot understand how he was so bad. It's almost like he went to United, he got crazy wages, he gave up. That Sancho was a mad one as well. It's still a big PSR loss on Antony. The problem is, with Man United, I think it's more likely that we loan out Antony. Because, as you said, it's the PSR loss. We'll make such a loss until next season when the 3-year loop is over on Antony as well. Interesting story coming out here. This is not related to transfers, but let me just get this up on the screen, guys. I'm really interested to know your thoughts on this, because I do want to get into the Ugarte and Ligt news, because we've just got a big breakthrough on Ligt this morning. But I want to just quickly get this story up that's not related to transfers, because it's broken just now. And that is from the very credible Laurie Whitwell, who's come out and said that Manchester United will seek to build a 100,000-seater stadium if the club goes ahead with plans to move to a new Old Trafford. The capacity is seen as realistic and intended to satisfy the high demand for tickets. And I tell you what, we need a 100,000-seat stadium, because getting tickets to watch Manchester United, unless I pay way over the odds on resales, like the last 2 times I've gone and watched Man United, you would be literally buying tickets for like 300, 400 quid on resale. Like, to be honest, I don't want Old Trafford to go. It's historic. It's brilliant. But I tell you what, 100,000 seat stadium is needed, because we're not like Man City, who can't sell out their stadium and put their tickets for £10 on uni days for Champions League nights. Old Trafford is massive, but it's full. It's so difficult to get tickets to Old Trafford. We mock Man City about having a tiny fan base, but they can get tickets for a tenner of uni days sometimes. It's easy to go to Champions League nights. You can pretty much go to any Man City game, but Man United is so difficult. So I do think a 100,000 seater stadium would be mad, but I also don't want Old Trafford to go, if we're going to be honest. The SoFi Stadium was brilliant, beautiful, but the pitch was horrific. The SoFi Stadium, I did like it. I liked everything about the SoFi Stadium, but the pitch, which is, a fair enough statement. The pitch there wasn't the best as well. We won't get 20 million for Antony. We'd be lucky to get 10. 200k, that's his reason to stay. £200,000 a week reasons to stay as well. The Besiktas will bid less than 20 million for Antony. They know that we're desperate. We are desperate. Yeah, that's the problem as well. I don't think we're going to get much money for Antony, even if he is gone. But I think Antony will be forced out, but I don't think Antony himself will leave Manchester United. But let me know your thoughts on the stadium as we dive into the next story. And actually, let me make that a little bit bigger. Bear with me, guys, because this is an update on Subamende, Amrabat. I'm going to get into some Ugarte news, because we did get a news story coming in on Ugarte really late last night, which is a very positive story, guys. So bear with me, but let me get this story up on the screen here. It was said, Amrabat is under consideration as a possible midfield reinforcement for Manchester United if they fail to sign Ugarte. Adrian Rabiot and Subamende are backup options, but a sale in midfield is required to facilitate a move. So they're saying we're going and pushing ahead with Ugarte, but a sale in midfield might be needed to facilitate the move. Now, Fulham are expected to put in a new bid for Scott McTominay this week, with McTominay open to joining Fulham, according to reports. Eriksen has 2 offers from Anderlecht and Ajax, but none of them have reached Man United's €5 million valuation, which is very cheap valuation. There's an expectation that United will get about £4.5 million and they will sell Christian Eriksen. There's an expectation that Mazraoui is going to leave on loan with an obligation to buy. Maybe 5 million could be raised there. There's an expectation that we can get around 15 million for Facundo Pellistri. There's an expectation as well that Lindelof is going to be sold this week. In fact, it's been said that Lindelof will leave Manchester United this week, according to some tier 2 sources. So I do think the sales are going to be moving. We've obviously sold Greenwood. Sancho, Ugarte swap deal could also be in the works as well, which wouldn't require a sale. But Lindelof and Casemiro are the big ones to sell. Casemiro is expected to say. Ten Hag played Toby Collier ahead of Lindelof, not ahead of Lindelof, ahead of McTominay. And I think a lot of people haven't noticed this, but Ten Hag played Toby Collier in that game when he could have played McTominay and he could have played Eriksen. He played Mount and Collier. Now, in the past, we've seen that Ten Hag has played, Eriksen and McTominay over Mount last season, even when Mount was fit. And I tweeted this in regards to why I think McTominay is probably on the way out. Ten Hag starting Collier over Eriksen and McTominay versus Arsenal last night is a real indication of how highly he rates him as our midfield plans. Last season, Ten Hag started Maino in midfield versus Madrid and Arsenal, and the rest is history. Even Mount, as last season when he was not injured, we saw McTominay and Eriksen used over him. Both players are now linked with moves away, while Casemiro will reportedly stay, explaining a potential midfield free of Casemiro, Collier and Mount, and that's why those 3 started versus Arsenal. I think Collier will get his chance, and if he performs, he will get more opportunities. One of Man United's biggest problems is lack of athleticism in midfield, and Collier is our best midfielder we have in terms of ground coverage and other attributes. I think that Toby Collier is going to have a big role at Manchester United. I think Collier is going to have a big role at Manchester United moving forward, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, because I think the fact that he could have played McTominay, I'm sorry, the fact that he didn't play McTominay, Casemiro and Mount says to me, or Eriksen, Casemiro and Mount, who we would have played 3 months ago, says to me those 2 players are out and Collier's in the plans. He picked Collier over McTominay and he picked Collier over Eriksen. McTominay was starting in cup finals for us. When Mount did return from injury, he sat on the bench as Eriksen started with Casemiro and stunk up the place, as McTominay started multiple games because he scored a few goals and stunk up the place. Now McTominay and Eriksen are back on the bench with Toby Collier in the midfield, a bit like Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo last pre-season got to start versus Arsenal and got to start versus Real Madrid, where he picked up that injury with what Ten Hag saw as his best midfield. So I think that Toby Collier is going to get a chance in the Premier League, and I generally believe that if he performs, he will get another chance and another chance. I generally believe that he can be our big next thing coming through. He's getting a chance. I think he's going to be good as well. Collier has the mobility and is in short of what Mainoo is somewhat mobile. Though Mainoo is mobile, but Mainoo is so good on the ball that we have someone that can actually cover sort of the ground off the ball to lower Mainoo's defensive responsibilities. I think you can get the best out of Mainoo on the ball. I do think that Collier could generally be the perfect partner for Kobbie Mainoo. I know that sounds crazy, I know it sounds mad, but I generally think Collier may be the perfect partner for Kobbie Mainoo going forward. I actually think that is going to work really well, because Toby Collier off the ball can cover ground, but he's comfortable at retaining the ball. He's comfortable at getting the ball and build up and playing passes quick. Toby Collier is a very similar profile of player to Declan Rice, and obviously Kobbie Mainoo did quite well with Declan Rice in the Euros, because he was allowed to push up. Bruno, Collier, Kobbie Mainoo could generally be our midfield free. But if I'm going to be honest, Mason Mount's really impressed me with his pre-season performances, that I don't think he gets dropped right away. I think we start the season probably with Mainoo in the 6, and if we don't sign Ugarte, we don't. I think Mainoo in the 6, Mount and Bruno in the 8s. I think that's how we start the season. But I do think that Toby Collier can easily make his way through. And I actually think that while I think we still need 2 midfield signings, if Toby Collier keeps this up and has a Mainoo-like impact, which is possible, but obviously it's very rare to have a Mainoo-like impact, maybe 1 midfield signing isn't the end of the world. Now, we are still focused on Ugarte, but Yusuf Fofana is one to watch. I'm actually going to report this later on. I'll probably cover it in my video tonight. But it actually has been said that Manchester United, but this didn't come out from the most reliable source, but I think it was Corriere dello Sport. It was an Italian source, actually came out last night to say that Manchester United had made contact with Monaco about a potential £25 million deal for Fofana, and if they could structure that in add-ons. That was a report that had gone about. But again, I don't know the source. I don't know how reliable it is. But I do think Yusuf Fofana is one to watch. But I do think Ugarte's probably our main focus in midfield as well. Mainoo is our best ball carry player. We cannot restrict him to number 6. Absolutely agree as well. We need to get Mainoo in his more natural at number 8 role sooner rather than later as well. People saying that, Maynard was in a midfield that conceded the most shots in Europe, but that wasn't down to Maynard, that was down to the structure, and that was down to obviously Maynard also being played out of position. Agree, Alice. Collier, clearly a gem. Looking forward to seeing him and Cobby tandem. Still wants a real midfield tiger. 100% agree with you, like a Keno type player as well. Why is it so difficult to move out the deadwood? Gosh, this club is still thin and the club is broke. It's frustrating because the fools that were here before Ineos decided, oh, Antony, you're on 20k a week. Here, have 200k a week. Let's completely increase your salary by times 10. Oh, Harry Maguire, we're going to pay 80 million for you and give you 200 grand a week. Because they're idiots. Casemiro, 350 grand a week. We're going to give you a pay rise and what you got at Real Madrid, even though you're aging and coming off your best. Because Manchester United are just so silly. Do you know what? It's mad. I'm not a football expert. I don't have any experience working on a football club. But even I would make smart decisions than the people that ran Manchester United for the last 10 years. It's actually ridiculous the wages they gave out. And all of that as well. It was said that United aren't going to make a final decision on what they're going to do with their new stadium until the end of the year, but United are contemplating making a 100,000-seater stadium as well, which would be absolutely crazy. Is the report coming out? I'll probably cover that later today as we dive into some more stories. Thank you very much for the super chat. Are you happy about Mazraoui? I am. I like Wan-Bissaka, but he's got 1 year left on his deal, so we need to get money for him. And I think Mazraoui, for me, I prefer him to Dumfries. My only concern is injuries, but I think Mazraoui is a good player. He can play right back, he can play left back. He played amazing stuff under Ten Hag, and I think that Mazraoui is a very good signing for United. So yeah, I am happy with Manchester United signing Mazraoui. Cannot complain as well. Alice, look at our medical department. Ligt and Mazraoui, very injury-prone players. Try for any other options. I agree. The one worry is that De Ligt and Mazraoui are both really injury-prone options, and it's just like, we've had an injury crisis, and now we're bringing in more injury-prone players. Classic Manchester United. But let's dive into some more stories, because one player that might be coming back to United is Amrabat. There's been a lot of rumours, reports, and speculation over Amrabat and what could be going on with Amrabat. But, more reports are saying it's increasingly more likely that Amrabat will be a Man United player next season. So what is the latest news on Amrabat and a potential return to United? It was said Amrabat has prioritised returning back to Manchester United. He is at home away from pre-season training, awaiting news, and he cannot get United off his mind. Manchester United could sign Amrabat on loan with an obligation to buy rather than an option. The fee would be around 10.5 million, a sizable drop from 17 million settled in a deal done 12 months ago. So it's now been reported that Amrabat really wants to return to United. He can't get his mind off United, and he's essentially waiting for Manchester United to make a decision. And Manchester United haven't made a decision until they know who's coming in and who's going out, and it's going to be basically it. Amrabat's going to be left until deadline day. I feel bad for him, but Amrabat is going to be left until deadline day. The fee would be around £10.5 million to bring in Amrabat, which I think is a good deal. Now, if I'm going to be honest with you, I think Amrabat's a second midfield signing. I'll take it. But if Amrabat's the only midfield signing we make, that's a little bit concerning, considering that he's 10 million and Yusuf Fofana deal could be done at 20 million. I would rather spend the extra 20 million on Yusuf Fofana. If Amrabat comes in as a second midfield signing for depth, I'm happy with that. He obviously partnered Cobby well, was really important in the FA Cup final, was really important in the FA Cup win. And when he actually was played in his natural position and given a run of games, the last 5 games of the season, he was good. He's a good player, Amrabat. He's a good squad player. He's got a mistake in him, but as a squad player, Amrabat is a good option to have. It's just that I think that we need to improve the starting 11. Amrabat as a backup to him as a squad player is a great option to have. Amrabat plus Ugarte. Amrabat plus Fofana. I think that's where I see it. I think we need someone new in midfield, because we had one of the worst midfields in the league last season. We're not adding anyone new to that. Essentially, Toby Collier could come in, but we need to add a new signing to that midfield that wasn't here last year. For me, personally, because that midfield, I know Amrabat was good when he has actually played in his best position at the end of the season, but that midfield was not good enough. It was one of the reasons we conceded 20 shots. Obviously, Mount will be like a new signing. Collier could be like a new signing. But I actually think we need to find a new signing that is a 6 that will allow Maynard to play as an 8 to go in that midfield, and Amrabat can come in for depth if that's what we want to do. That's sort of my thought process on that whole situation, if I'm going to be honest. Do I think United will make top 4? If we sign a good midfielder and another centre-back, I think we can. But I think it's a push. I think for me, we need to sign centre-back, full-backs, DM, probably a second midfielder and a winger for me to say we can get top 4. But I think generally, if we've got a Subamende or Yusuf Fofana in, and we can get De Ligt over the line and our fullback depth over the line, and we don't get injuries, which is, a bit cursed because you're on Højlund already, then I think we can get top 4. But I think it's massively dependent on injuries and what happens there. Guys, we've got over 800 people watching and we're on 200 likes. Can we hit 500 likes? Please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And also, we're on the road to 87k. I'm on 86,921 subscribers. So please do subscribe down below if you're new. We're so close to 87k. We're literally literally like 70 subscribers away from 87k. So please do subscribe down below if you're new while I get into stories, because we've got some big updates coming in on Ligt and Ugarte that I've not yet covered in today's show. So let's get into some of the Ligt news. Let's get into some of the Ugarte news, because there's a few updates coming in that have come in just this morning here. So what has been said? It has been said that De Ligt has agreed a 5-year deal to join Manchester United, according to Sport. De Ligt, obviously, personal terms would not be an issue. We have personal terms agreed with De Ligt. He's agreed a 5-year deal to join United, and the wages are expected to be 160k a week, which is a 90k a week wage cut, but there'll be bonuses depending if we get in the Champions League for that to rise. But De Ligt has rejected other Champions League clubs to join Manchester United. De Ligt is taking a wage cut to join Manchester United, and De Ligt is just waiting for United to sell Lindelof, and Lindelof's expected to be sold this week, according to many sources, for that move to be complete. So if this is what is true, what is being reported, De Ligt could be a Manchester United player this week. It depends on the Lindelof sale. He's rejecting other clubs for United. We're talking with Bayern Munich. There's a 5 million gap in our valuation that's expected to be sorted. Bayern are desperate to bring in Tars, they're desperate to offload De Ligt, who only is interested in joining United. He's taken a wage cut to join United, even when PSG offered him higher wages. He really wants the Manchester United move Matthijs De Ligt. But for us to get Matthijs De Ligt in, we need to sell Lindelof. Now, Phil Brown, now James Ducker, now lots of credible sources suggest that Lindelof's exit is quite close and he could leave the club this week. We will dive into that later in today's show. It was said by Romano that De Ligt remains a strong target for Manchester United, and Bayern Munich will keep asking for £42 million from Manchester United, and that talks continue between United and Bayern over De Ligt. It said Matthijs De Ligt is waiting on United to complete some outgoings before they accelerate his arrival, but the expectation is a deal for De Ligt should be done in around the £40 million range once Manchester United's rivals' outgoings accelerate. And there's a feeling that the outgoings inside United could accelerate, with Ligt Sancho potentially likely to leave. It was said that PSG have reached an agreement in principle with Ligt Sancho. However, he's not their priority option and they favour other players. Manchester United want €60 million for Sancho. PSG made contact with Sancho's agent. There are still no talks between PSG and United, as the French side are waiting for United to decide what they'll do with Sancho as well. So again, there's rumours of Sancho agreeing personal terms to leave United. We know that Sancho has offers from both Juventus and PSG, and Sancho himself is open to leaving United because he's got offers from both Juventus and PSG, and apparently he's agreed personal terms with PSG. I covered this in my video last night. I do not think that Sancho has agreed personal terms with PSG, but I do think that Sancho's communicated with both PSG and Juventus that he's open to leaving. But it's Romano is saying that Man United haven't made the decision on what they're going to do with Sancho. Now, as I said yesterday, I have a feeling deep down that United are going to try the cards for a Sancho Ugarte swap deal. I think that PSG's priority is Nico Williams, but his priority is Barcelona. If PSG can't get Nico Williams, they will turn their attention to Ligt and Sancho. Now that Juventus have essentially sold Soule, they're also now turning their attention to Ligt and Sancho. Juventus sold Soule, they're now trying to pursue Sancho. PSG will probably pursue Sancho if they can't get Nico Williams, which means we're in a position where we could get a bidding race between between Juventus and PSG for Sancho, which means we could get more money for Sancho and we could raise the potential price of Sancho, putting us in quite a good position there as well. So I do think that it's going to be interesting in regards to Sancho and his exit. But I have a feeling that United may try the card for a swap deal regarding PSG and Ligt and Sancho, if I'm going to be honest as well. Any update on Euro's injury? So the latest on Euro's injury is he's having scans today, and United are very fearful that he could be out for a while. But again, that was said by Steve Bates, so we'll have to wait until someone a bit more reliable comes in for an update as well. Alice, is there any news on Ferdy? So no, there's no news on Ferdy. Manchester United looked at Ferdy. We reportedly made a 21 million bid for Ferdy, although that wasn't said by the most reliable sources. But Manchester United are not pressing ahead on any kind of deal to bring Ferdy in. There is sort of no news and no updates in regards of Ferdy to Manchester United. I don't think anything's going to happen, if I'm going to be honest, but you never know. If we maybe make a lot of money through sales, Ferdy could come in. But I think the fact that we've agreed a deal with Mazraoui, and Mazraoui is essentially a done deal, I don't think anything's going to happen in regards to 30 and United. Guys, we're only 25 likes away from 300 likes, so please do hit that like button. It'd be amazing if we can hit 500 likes. It really helps out the channel as we're on the road to 100k. Casemiro is expected to stay at United as well. De Ligt won't leave Bayern now that Ito's broken his foot. Fabrizio Romano said that Bayern still want to sell De Ligt so they can bring in Tar. So De Ligt is still expected to leave Bayern Munich as well, as we dive into the Ugarte situation. So what has been said on Ugarte? It's been said that Manchester United are expected to submit a new offer for Ugarte in the coming days, and Romano said the Ugarte situation has not changed despite reports. Contact is on a daily basis between United and Ugarte. There's been some worries, there's been some fears. Has Ugarte to Manchester United slowed down? Is it on? Is it off? It's gone very quiet lately, and that is because United's full focus has sort of been on the Mazraoui deal, on the Wan-Bissaka situation on the outs. But United are going to press ahead with Ugarte. They're just waiting for PSG to lower the fee, because Manchester United know that once PSG get João Neves in the door, they will lower the fee for Ugarte, because essentially he is the backup to João Neves, and they will not want a backup around that doesn't want to be at the club, that the manager doesn't want at the club. You've got to look at it in regards to Ugarte. Is the manager doesn't want him, he wants to leave, he's agreed to join United, he's pushing for the United move, and PSG will know they have to take a loss on him. PSG are asking for £59 million for Ugarte because they want us to cover the João Neves fee. PSG know they have to do a deal for Ugarte in around the 40 million range. Ugarte's agreed to join United. Ugarte actually rejected other Champions League clubs because he really is enticed by the United project. Ugarte is given the green light, he's waiting for United. PSG have told United they would like to sell Ugarte. The manager of PSG does not want Ugarte. United with Ugarte and United with De Ligt are in a very good, strong and positive position for both players, and I think a lot of people don't realise that both players want United and are willing to wait for United. It's just about United negotiating those final sales and those final movements to get that deal done as well. Should we put in a bid for Zubimendi? If Man United went and put in a bid for Zubimendi, I'd be amazed. I like Zubimendi, I like him, but I do think he is back up to Ugarte, and there's nothing real serious going on with Zubimendi. But I would love Zubimendi at Manchester United. Absolutely would love the guy at Manchester United. I think he's such a baller. There was a report coming out from Nacional that United were preparing a 38 million bid for Zubimendi, which would probably be rejected. But Nacional isn't the most reliable source of information. Nacional is a Spanish source that likes to make things up, if I'm going to be honest. So there was a news that we're preparing a shock bid for Zubimendi, and we're going to put in this bid for Zubimendi of £38 million. But again, it didn't come out from a source that I would personally believe or trust, if I was going to be honest with you guys as well. What's the fees expected for Lindelof? Apparently £8 million, which I think is a joke, but I think United are desperate to sell him with 1 year on his deal. About £8 to £12 million is expected for Lindelof, 10 to 15 million euros. If we can get £12 million, at least we surely need to get over £10 million for Lindelof. I get that he's got 1 year left on his deal and we're desperate to sell. But the first bid was 8 million that we rejected. Apparently, it's probably going to be about 10 to 12 million pounds for Lindelof, which, yeah, it's a little bit of a joke as well, if I'm going to be honest as well. De Ligt has to be the priority now because of Euro's injury. I think United were waiting to assess the extent of Euro's injury. So right now, what Manchester United are doing is they're assessing the extent of Lenny Euro's injury. So if Lenny Euro is out for months, like what's being rumoured, which fingers crossed he's not, we probably will push ahead with De Ligt a lot more, but also it can ruin our negotiation position with Bayern because they'll know we're more keen for De Ligt, and obviously they've got their own centre-back injured. But I think in regards to Lenny Euro, it's very much like, I think we're going to sign De Ligt. I think we will sign De Ligt this window. I'm very confident actually that De Ligt will be a Man United player. I believe that we will sign Matthias De Ligt this window. But I do think if Euro's injury is more severe, that could then become more of a priority. Guys, we're on 330 likes. We're pushing for 500 likes. So keep hitting the like button. It really helps the channel out. And also, as I said, we're on the road to 100k. We're so close to 87k. We're on 86,948 subscribers. So 52 subs away from 87k. So please do get subscribing if you're new. I did want to dive into this story to give you some context. The feeling is that United will sell Sancho this summer if they can get an offer close to 40 million, with Rashford, Garnacho, Antony and AWB competing for wide positions. Sancho is one of the players they would sacrifice to strengthen other areas, according to Chris Wheeler. And interestingly, if we go into other news here, it was said that this coming week will be an important week for Manchester United in their transfer market, and many things could happen. United are working on several deals. So Fabrizio Romano said this next week is going to be a big week for United, and several things could happen. Now, what could happen this week, and what I'm going to break down to you guys, and what I think, and this is why this week is a big week, so do subscribe if you're new. But I think that Wan-Bissaka is sold. I think Mazraoui is signed. I think we make a bid for De Ligt. I think we make a bid for Ugarte. I think Eriksen will leave. I think Lindelof will leave. And I think potentially McTominay could leave all in the next week. There could be a lot going on now. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but I'm saying that that's something we can watch out for. Also, Antony exit is one to watch out for. Sancho, now that Sule has officially left Juventus apparently going to press ahead with Sancho, and that would maybe speed up PSG, who are waiting for Nico Williams, but Nico Williams has made it very clear that his priority and focus is on Barcelona, so there really could be some exciting movement going on inside there as well. Guys, make sure you subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. I go live every single morning and every single afternoon, keeping you guys up to date. I do a longer live show in the morning, around 45 minutes, and then in the afternoon I do a shorter live show getting to the point, and then I do my 10-minute videos as well. Our midfield needs a tall, physically very strong, very fast and recovery type player. I think that's the type of player we lack. I agree. I think that's the reason Toby Collier has been looked at so much as an academy player, because he's probably the closest we got to that. And I have to say this now, Amadou Onana was a player that I was very hot and cold for, but Amadou Onana made his debut for Villa yesterday and he elevated Aston Villa so well. He looked so good at Aston Villa. And I do think Amadou Onana, he's very hot and cold, but I do think in a possession-based system at Manchester United, he would have taken us up another level. And I do think he was the profile of player we needed. And Amadou Onana and Matt Sweefer, I always felt it was the profile of player we needed. So you can see him at Aston Villa doing very well in his first game. And I do think that would have taken Kobe up a level. And that's why I'm a massive fan of Yusuf Fofana. Why isn't as big as Weefer or Amadou Onana? I just think Yusuf Fofana is there. He's available for around 20 to 25 million pounds. You're very sceptical about Ugarte, who hasn't had a good season. Yusuf Fofana is cheaper. Yusuf Fofana is more the profile we need and better in possession. Yusuf Fofana's had a better season than Ugarte, and there's only like 1 year age difference. I personally really hope that we do speed up this pursuit of Yusuf Fofana and look to get a deal done or over the line for Yusuf Fofana. If I was going to be completely honest with you guys, I think that Yusuf Fofana would be a really good option in midfield. And I like Ugarte, and I think Ugarte can be great, but there is some fears over Ugarte in possession, that he's been bad the last year. Personally, I would look at Yusuf Fofana and say that is the midfield signing that we need to elevate us and make us go up that level, if I was going to be honest with you guys as well. English media, they just write negative stuff about United for clicks. I was almost in tears looking at Euro as well. I think Euro injury could be good to reduce hype from media. I think there's nothing good about Euro being injured. I get maybe the media can get the pressure off him, but it's just annoying that Euro is injured. But I mean, this means maybe we're going to press ahead with the De Ligt deal this week as well. What are the updates on Euro and Højlund's injury? The updates on Euro and Højlund's injury is that Højlund's expected to be fine. Euro, they're a bit more concerned about the scans going on today. In regards to De Ligt as well, this was just some story said earlier on that Matthijs De Ligt remains a strong target for United, and Bayern Munich will keep asking for 42 million for De Ligt, and that Manchester United do not plan to spend more than 38 million on De Ligt this summer. It was also said that Lindelof is close to leaving Manchester United, and Lindelof did not train with the squad yesterday. There is a lot of reports, news, rumours, bits and bobs coming out that Lindelof is very likely to leave United and he's close to leaving Manchester United. That's been said by quite a few sources. I think Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka are two players that could very likely leave Manchester United this week. I don't know about Sancho. I don't know about Antony, if you want my full honesty. But I think Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka are two players that could really, really, really be likely to leave Manchester United this week. I do. I think they're massive ones to watch. Any update on Bruno Fernandes? Is there an offer for him? There was an update on Bruno. And this was it here. Manchester United are now exploring extending the contract of Bruno Fernandes before the end of the summer. United are confident and relaxed about Fernandes' future with them, despite links to Saudi and PSG. I don't think Bruno's going anywhere. I think Bruno is staying. I wouldn't be too worried about Bruno Fernandes and what his future could involve as well. He hasn't been bad. He hasn't been bad, and he isn't bad in possession. Well, look, I like Ugarte, and if we sign Ugarte, I'm happy. But I think that he's not had the best season at PSG, which isn't totally his fault, because he was signed for PSG and then Luis Enrique came in, who plays a style of football that does not suit Ugarte. But he didn't have the best season at PSG, and he isn't the best in possession, which is fine because Maino is good in possession. But I do think that there's risks associated with Ugarte. I like Ugarte. If Man United sign Ugarte, great. We need a DM, but there's definitely risks associated with Ugarte if we do want to bring in Ugarte. But we are expected to put a new offer in for Ugarte. We are expected to be selling Lindelof and Maguire. Well, Maguire's expected to stay, but we are looking to sell both Lindelof and Maguire as well. Bruno and Xerxes will cook. You know what? Bruno and Xerxes could work really well together. But I know we only had it for 10 minutes, but Ahmad, Rashford, Højlund. I was really, really enjoying Ahmad, Rashford, Højlund. I can't lie. Ahmad, Rashford, Højlund. I was really, really enjoying that front three in pre-season. That is 10 minutes versus Arsenal. They were cooking Arsenal, absolutely cooking Arsenal, which is a shame. Shame Højlund came off injured because that front three looks good. That front three looks good. Guys, we're 13 likes away from 400 likes, so please do continue to hit that like button. And, of course, subscribe down below for Taz Talks if you're new. Mason Mount looked really good in the 10 role. I was really impressed with what I saw from Mason Mount. I was really, really impressed with what I saw from Mason Mount. His out-of-position movement, the fact that off the ball he was moving around, closing down passing lanes, getting to the loose balls, getting to the second balls, recovering the ball high up the pitch, pressing, forcing teams wide. He was really good. And Ten Hag has signed Mason Mount for his out-of-possession work, the tactical outlook he can provide. And I thought this connection with Sancho, with Ahmad, with Rashford in all of the games, I think Mason Mount's been really impressive. I think Toby Collier's been really impressive. I thought Harry Amas was absolutely fantastic for Manchester United as well. I think there's been a lot of positivity around those players in United as well. We're 13 likes away from 400 likes, guys. 13 likes away from the target. We've got over 800 people watching. So look, just need half of you to hit that like button and we hit our 400 like target. And of course, do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Up if you're new. We're about 50 subscribers away from 87k. So please do subscribe. So close to 87k. On the road to 100k. But Harry Amas, how good he was on the ball, how good he was technically. Harry Amas was fantastic for United. I think he might need a year to develop physically, but he's got a lot. I mean, our build-up, our all-round play, the fact that we could move the ball so quickly on the transition. Harry Amas's technical abilities are absolutely insane for a kid. You know, Mason Mount had a really good game. Toby Collier elevated the midfield with his out-of-possession work. Amad Diallo's balling it out. Højlund looked like a monster. You play the ball in front of Højlund, he scores. Hopefully he's fine. Euro, let's hope he's all right. Maguire wasn't great. Casemiro wasn't great. They're the two players I'm worried about. And Mejbri wasn't great, but he'll be out the door. They were probably the two players I was a bit worried about. And Collier is killing it. I'm really excited to see more of Collier because he's playing unbelievably well as well. Alice can see Xerxes playing as a 10 behind Højlund. I think so. Did you notice in pre-season, actually? And not many people have said this, and I think, but did you notice that Mason Mount was playing as a second striker to a point? He was playing just behind Højlund. Mason Mount as a number 10 was playing very high up the pitch, almost like he was just behind Højlund. Maybe that's a sign of actually that there's a plan for maybe Xerxes and Højlund to play together like that. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, Mason Mount and Mejbri were almost two centre forwards. They were almost two false nines playing with each other. And maybe that's a sign of some kind of plan to play Xerxes and Rasmus Højlund together, which would be pretty amazing, which would be pretty cool as well. Someone said why they won't play Antony down the left, considering he's left-footed. I actually think Antony could be better on the left. I think Antony cutting in and shooting, all Antony wants to do is cut in and shoot, and I think that's made him so predictable. His shooting isn't that good, and it's making him a worse player. I'm actually at the point where I'd want to try Antony out on the left, if I was going to be totally honest, but he prefers the right-hand side. I mean, he looked better at left back than he has on the right wing this season as well. So I completely agree with you on that. As well. Yeah, big like everybody in the chat. Rashford had a good game, I agree. Toby was solid. Alice, give away ice cream for 400 likes. Do you know what? Tell you what, I really want some ice cream right now. But I think, have we hit 400 likes, guys? Have we hit the 400 like target? Because I know we're 13 away. So let me know if we've hit the 400 like target. But Mount has great on-pitch awareness and brings a real guy. I agree. Mount's awareness of where to position himself on the pitch, when to play those quick 1-2s, when to make runs. Mount's out-of-possession movement. Mount's out-of-possession awareness. What Mount brought out of possession was super, super impressive and super, super needed, actually. And I generally believe that while I had some question marks over if Mount was a priority or profile of player we needed, I generally think that Mount, if he can stay fit, will have a good season, and generally believe that Mason Mount can elevate the United squad next season, have a good season. I think he's a good player. Good profile of player. Bosh, guys, you've absolutely smashed it. 433 likes. The target was 500 likes, but I think I can take 433 likes. That was absolutely amazing. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. We were going for 500 likes, but I generally would rather see Antony at left back than right wing as well. People say there's no style, but it's pretty clear in day what Erik ten Hag was trying to do. How we played the first 20 minutes versus Arsenal was a real transitional approach of moving the ball quickly. It was a great start. It was a great everything. The style, the patterns of play, the football we played in those first 35 minutes. Those first 20 minutes before Euro, those first 20 minutes versus Arsenal, we were playing proper transition, attacking, positive, on the front foot football versus Arsenal. we had a real start about it. Maybe it's Ruud van Nistelrooy, maybe it's Rene Hake, maybe it's the new coach who's coming in. But we were playing football versus Arsenal for about 20 minutes. We absolutely were, which is frustrating as well. Antony needs to go. Do you think he will go? Probably not. We need to hold our horses regarding Toby and Amas preseason. A little too much pressure. 100% agree. 100% agree. But listen, people, I'm going to round up the live show here. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.